Hi everyone, welcome back. This is going to be our mystery chore segment, which happens to be the hay hoops that we started last week. So this is like a part 2 continuation of working on it. We were able to get some more supplies. James and I have been, dishing out ideas and bouncing stuff off each other to figure out what the best way is to do this. So we picked up some like PVC tubing and some different kinds of hardware that we're going to try and attach to the tire today. What we're mainly going to focus on is getting that hinge in the back, and then also the eyelet bolt in the front with the carabiner clip. So that's going to be our focus today, is just figuring out the attachment of it and how to get it opened and closed and locked. And then in another segment, probably next week, we'll figure out the hooks to keep it together, and then hopefully we can start testing them. So James is on his way over right now. Here he is.
Howdy.
So what should we start with?
Well, so yeah, we did get some tubing. We've had the hose, right?
Yeah, this is our like prototype.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So I had picked up, I think I mentioned it last week, but I'd picked up some of this PEX tubing, and this is used for water pipe in houses and stuff, and it's easy to install because it's so flexible, right? But it's a little more rigid than that rubber hose. And last year, I had given a very meager attempt at what you're trying to do now, but really didn't have the time or energy to get as creative as you have.
Yeah, I put a lot of engineering forethought into this.
I can tell. So my thought last year was like, well, maybe if I get something rigid enough and clamp it, it can have enough friction to sit inside this little cavity. There's this little detent on the outside. You can see where it kind of pooches out here. Yeah. But yeah,
horses
that
are
didn't
smarter
work.
than that.
Way smarter and way stronger and whatever else. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to try using this. It's a little bit smaller diameter. It's a little more rigid than the hose, and it might work a little easier. We're not sure yet, so we're going to try it. So what I've got is a tubing cutter, and so it's got a pretty sharp blade on one end.
Oh, nice.
And so what we want to do is maybe you can figure out the length that we want there.
So I was thinking of kind of holding everything lower down.
Okay.
Like you were saying in that groove. That's not gonna create an issue for us drilling holes into the side of it, right?
No, it won't. The only challenge with keeping it lower is if it's gonna catch on this when we're lifting it in and out, because it's got a hinge, right?
Try and open it, yeah.
So we could keep it down in this area.
Yeah, just above the groove.
And these little tread sections back here are actually really thick. That's not necessarily a problem. We could go in between them.
Okay, so, because I know you already drilled a hole right there.
Yeah, just a test hole, yeah. So we can kind of fuss around with it.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters where it sits. I was just thinking like, maybe we don't need as much netting to go down as deep if it's, farther in there.
Because you're not using these hay bags. You're actually getting your own netting.
Yeah, I'm going to order some netting. So.
Gotcha.
But I think with the way that the horses will push down on it, it should work either way. I just don't want it to be so taut on there that they're going to rip it. Definitely not. I mean, it's nice having a little bit of extra just so that, because they will rip it up a little bit too. So if they can get their nose down in there and move it around, there's got to be a little bit of play, because they definitely do that. Okay. Well, if you want to mark it. Yeah, let's try it like this.
All right, and we'll cut it right about here. Doesn't have to be perfect because there's a little bit of play, and it just slices right through like butter.
That's cool.
So the other piece of this that I have is a little what do they call it? A barbed coupling, and what that does is it fits in one side like that and the other side like that, and then it comes in and you clamp it together. We're not going to clamp it today because we don't know if this is our final solution. So the idea is that it makes a nice ring, sits in here, and then hinges up. Okay? So what I was thinking on this, I was looking around the garage trying to figure out what in the world we were going to use.
Yeah, I went shopping through all of the hardware buckets that we have and just pulling everything out that could possibly work.
And you found some pretty cool stuff. While I was helping dig around, I found these conduit straps. And they're a 1-hole strap. We have some 2-hole straps, but these are 1/2 inch. We had a whole bag full of them. And my thought was that, well, what if we use these as the hinge points? And that makes a nice, easy hinge. And the one thing I'm seeing already, this is flexible, but as you bend it up, the shoulders hit there. So the higher up it is, the less you're going to have that problem. But I don't think it's going to be a huge issue because it does bend well.
What about in the hole that you already put in here? Does it work there?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's up a little higher. So I don't know. We'll test it down low and see.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to temporarily tack this in instead of drilling and bolting it all the way through like we would if it was permanent. We're just going to test it. So I brought out some a drill and some sheetrock screws. These are nice and they have a really coarse thread.
Okay.
They'll drill in, and for our purposes today, they're going to cinch up just fine. So if we put this in here, and we'll keep it down low, kind of like you were suggesting. I'm going to put it into kind of the meat of that tread, and that kind of will give enough, of a hinge point. And
and I think even opening it like this much would be fine.
Okay.
Because you don't really, you don't need it all the way open and flipped over, just to throw some flakes in here, close it down, and then go on with your day.
If we need more strength on this hinge, I can put another one pointing down. And then
Yeah, we would just have to see if while we're testing it, because we're going to test it with the ponies and the donkeys first, and if they can destroy it, then a horse will definitely destroy it. So we'll see if we need more strength once we get through testing it with them.
For sure. So the next step is, now that we have a hinge point, the next step is dealing with the sides, and we want to keep this thing from popping up, right? And we will have a piece on the front that ties it in, but you may still be able to pull the sides up.
Yeah, and I just don't know how sturdy it's going to end up needing to be, but like Brandon says, just overbuild it.
Right. So the thought would be to put another one of these pipe clamps or mounts on here and put it kind of straight across from each other. The problem is that we need to just have a loop. So I was hoping that I could drill this in and then bend this up.
Yeah, because it's kind of like this right now, and we need it to be up there. With the curve at the top.
So it's kind of like that. We want it to look like that. Not sure how well that's going to work, but we're going to try it. So we'll screw this in. And we're right underneath, something like that.
And that's good to have like those little diamond markers so we can kind of see that we're putting them all in the same spot.
I do have some pliers here, so hopefully I don't rip the screw right out when I go to bend that. And I can't really bend it and then put the screw in because it covers up the hole. So that's kind of what that looks like. It's hard to see on camera, but pops right in.
Yeah, and then it'll keep it from going up. And then as someone who would be like filling it up, you can just put it down, and the ring is still flexible enough to squeeze and lift it up.
Yeah. What we don't want is we don't want too much exposed so that the horses could get a head caught in there or anything like that.
Catch a lip or an eyeball or something.
These aren't super sharp at all. They're actually kind of rounded off. We'll put another one on the other side and just have a full mock-up. And that's about straight across, huh? Okay. And again, these screws are strictly temporary. Okay.
Sweet. So if I were to, that's not going anywhere. Pulling up on it.
Okay.
Nice.
So the next thing is we would put a clip on the end of this, and that would sit like that, or maybe we want to orient it the other way.
Yeah, or it can kind of like go down.
Yeah. So we have a carabiner here, and the idea would be that we'd have an eye bolt that would sit inside, and then that would just clip in. What I'm seeing right now already is that this is pretty tight, right? So we could put that up high and just make it easy access so that it's kind of up high and this kind of hangs down. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. So maybe we'll do that. We need kind of a less tread depth anyway. So let's just try that for now and see if that's going to work. And I will drill.
And that's pretty easy to undo.
Yeah, we can use different types of clips too. That one was cheap and easy. So it's, I think, $1 a clip for those as opposed to some of these brass ones that are more like, $3 or $4 a piece.
Yeah. It's got a nice wide opening. Because I just want it to be as easy as possible for a person to go through, because we got to do this, 19 times in a morning and an afternoon to go through and feed. So I don't want it to be like taking 2 or 3 minutes each one. Like unclip it, throw the hay in, clip it closed, and go.
Not ideal. All right, so we want to go straight across from this one. That's somewhere in here. I'm going to use the 1/2-inch bit that we tried last time that seemed to work well. The smell of melting rubber. So we've got these eye bolts. They're stainless steel. I've also got some stainless steel fender washers. These are larger diameter than regular washers, even though they have the same size hole. So they won't pop through that hole as easy if there's tension put on it. And it is stainless steel hardware.
It's not going to rust.
So it's not going to rust. Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
So let's tip this up and just show kind of what we've got here. So we've got our hinge. We've got our 2 catches on the side. And then we've got the secure latch on that end. So go ahead and latch that in there. And then these would fit inside there. And maybe we need to make the hoop, I don't know if we need to make it any smaller. But the idea is that whatever way they were tugging on this, it wouldn't come up. So it can be loose inside.
And they don't necessarily need to sit in the hooks on the side. It's just to keep it from coming up if they do rip it up.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
It's coming together. I'm really happy.
Do you think this latch is going to be appropriate here?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty quick and easy to undo. It just might be a little like flimsy and finicky. I just don't know how to make it like just more efficient.
Yeah, it needs to be a little bit flexible to get around all these pieces. The other thing we could do with the tubing is we could put sand in it or a piece of metal to stiffen it or something, some larger wire. But I don't know. Again, we kind of need to practice with it, I guess, to see. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm thinking because you definitely would have to come from, I guess you could do it that way. You just have to be really good about getting it kind of on the first try to undo it and then like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a couple more steps than just throwing the hay in there, but it's going to save on hay and it's going to keep them from eating off the ground.
Yeah, and you got to have a way to keep it secure. I mean, that's the biggest thing we've run across. I mean, they'll even pick up, they'll put their mouth on this and pick up the barrel.
Oh yeah, they just throw the barrels across their stalls.
Yeah. So I guess the true test is whether or not these catches are going to hold up over that kind of stress. I think that they will. As long as they
can't get it in one corner or another, they can't just rip it past the catch.
Right.
And it's not going to go anywhere.
And in a lot of ways, I think the flexibility of the hoe or the pipe
is going to be more helpful.
Helps with that because it's not super rigid or anything and isn't too brittle. The only other option I can think of is to do like a steel ring, but you'd have to have a pretty hefty gauge piece of steel that's super rigid, and then you wouldn't be able to really, you'd have to bend the tire instead of the ring to get it past those catches.
And these don't really twist anywhere.
Yeah, we could make them do that a little bit. The problem is that if we can twist them, they can twist them.
Yeah. We just gotta be be a little finagling with it.
So, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the catch there, or the latch, isn't super easy. I mean, especially if you're wearing gloves.
Yeah,
and it's cold
that's true.
and wet.
Let's see.
I'm going to bring the camera over here and we'll get a little bit better view on it.
Because I just got these gloves and I already have problems with them with clips and carabiners and everything too. So you just have to be really careful about just grabbing the part that hinges and then pulling up. But it does make it a little easier on my fingers to wear the gloves with it.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah, so if you grab it like that, like this, just kind of make it more efficient and then just pull it up.
Now let's demonstrate these catches a little bit.
Yeah. So you can see how flexible the ring kind of is. It just moves around the inside of the tire. And then they just kind of sit up here.
And then when we
tubing.
take them off, we just pop them down and bend them
Pull it
out of
out.
the way. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and if you have one off, then the other one falls down, and then you can just take your clip up like that. Even opening it like this is enough to just throw some hay in there and then close it back down.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even need to open all the way like that. Because it's not like we're throwing a bale of hay in it. It's just like 2 or 3 flakes.
That's true, yeah. I mean, yeah, rarely are we shoving even half a bale in there.
Yeah.
So.
And I've seen ones where I got this idea from was a woman, she lives in the East Coast somewhere, but her dad made her special custom bale boxes that are the exact rectangle size of a hay bale. So she just throws it in there, cuts her strings, takes them out, and then it's like a hoop, like rectangle that closes over the top of it.
Right.
And then she clips it closed. So it's the same kind of thing. It just needs to really just open on the one side, throw the hay in there, close it, and go on with your day.
The other option would be to get super, like, I don't know, industrial strength with it and put a more robust hinge, like a gate hinge or door hinge on here, and have like a wood ring cut out. And then the hay net attaches underneath that wood ring. So you have a
Just
piece
as
of
like
wood.
one piece and then it opens up and down.
Yeah, exactly. That's like a full cabinet lid or something.
Yeah.
But that makes these super heavy, and we actually have to roll these around.
Right.
So
We need to be able to
whatever
move
we
them.
use has to be able to be moved. It gets tossed around. It's in the rain and elements.
That stayed in place.
Yeah, that's not going to go anywhere. And I'm not worried about it being damaged because it's a few cents a pipe. And if something tears loose, it should be easy to maintain. The only thing I'm worried about in practice is whether that latch is going to be good for you and whether or not this is going to hold up to the horses pulling on stuff.
And do you think over time, as these get moved around, will they kind of warp and lose their shape?
I don't think so. They will get more flexible in the sun.
Which might be an advantage.
It could be, or they could. They're not really rated for sunlight exposure necessarily, so they could get more brittle over time.
Okay.
But again, this pipe is super cheap, so it can be easily
And
replaced.
as long as we have the netting and the hardware that's still good, we can just replace the pipe, just rethread it through.
And we find with the netting, I mean, even stuff that's as burly as that, I mean, they chew through it, they break it loose. I mean, we're always fixing something.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's, I don't know. I think as a prototype, we're getting closer.
Yeah, getting a little closer.
So do you want to basically, we can drill some holes and make this more secure so we're not pulling out those temporary screws, and then we can thread that existing hay net on and use it for some feeding this week?
Yeah, we could try it with one of the ponies. Try it with
Okay.
Captain Clark's, because Lewis already eats out of a net, so we'll try it with the other pony.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be great. So yeah, what I'll do, and I'm not sure, I have most of the hardware here, but what I'll do is I'll drill some of these holes out. We'll go ahead and put nuts and bolts through those. So these 3 pipe saddles will be firmly secured in there.
Okay.
And then we can bend this back up. The one thing I do want to watch for is if we bend these straps too many times, they'll just start to break apart.
Yeah.
So I only have to do that about once or twice. But yeah, I think that'll be good.
Okay.
And then we can either do a 2-hole strap for the hinge so it's more secure, or just leave it as a single hole. I don't think it's going to get seriously damaged.
No, I
you'd
don't
have
think they're
to
going to
really,
rip it that hard.
No. What they rip on is grabbing the barrel and moving it.
Flipping it around.
And then they'll grab the net, and if it's big enough, they'll try to pull that out.
Yeah.
But I've never seen them tug on this, like,
Yank it. Yeah, like a pit bull.
So, because what they want's the hay underneath. They don't care about the net.
No, the net's just in their way. They can eat the hay faster.
So, all right. And I do have some, for this end piece here, we can use hose clamps if we need to, but I did buy some crimp connectors that are a little bit more permanent, so we can put those in there. But I thought it would be nice to keep this from being permanently attached until we get the hay net or any of the netting around there, so we can leave it like that for the moment and just use hose clamps.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So altogether, these are really cheap. Like, we can get bags of these for $5 for 25
And these
of
eyelet
them.
ones are a little more expensive, but we're only putting one on each one.
One on each barrel. And then this little tube connector here, this coupling, that's brass. I can probably find cheaper ones. I might even be able to find plastic ones that'll hold up, because...
Or you even said a piece of a wooden dowel or something?
That's true. You could stick wood inside there. As long as there's something inside to clamp it down on, it's not going to go anywhere. The nice thing with these is they do have barbs, so they're not going to pull apart if something yanks on either side. Because right now, you can just pull it out, right? But the barbs help when you clamp a hose clamp on it.
It's stuck against the bar.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Exactly. So we'll see. I don't want to get super elegant with it, but at the same time, we want it to work.
The idea with my design was to just like make it as cheap as we possibly can, because they're going to destroy it. And when they do destroy it, make it easy to fix.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is the key, because invariably we will have to fix it.
Yes,
There's
they will
no
have to
doubt
get
about
fixed.
it. So, all right, awesome. Well, I am going to head back into the office here and get ready to switch things over in a little bit.
Okay.
And I'll let you kind of close us out here, but thanks everybody for joining along in the fun here. And I'll probably make a little video when I have a little more time, and we'll finish tying these in and bolting everything together. And then I don't know if you wanted to use this netting or another net for your prototype.
I'll use this one while we have it.
Okay.
There's a couple websites where you can order netting in bulk. So I kind of want to get like an accurate measurement of everything that I'm going to need before I...
You know what you could do is, with this, since it's so big, if you wanted to test out different measurements, you just run this down, put a zip tie on it.
Oh, that's true.
And then you're testing the actual dimensions that you're after with the depth.
Okay.
So that might be something to try.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Cool. Well, thanks, James.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. This is going to be a many week-long project that we're working on, but I'm very excited that we are going places with it. This is an idea that I, did a lot of research on, and I'm very excited to make it happen. So if you guys have any suggestions for any of the other problems and stuff that we were running into, feel free to leave them in the chat, and I can take that into account. Most of the hardware is super cheap stuff that we can get, and there are like secondhand hardware stores around town, so definitely easy stuff for us to pick up. It's just a matter of testing it in real life. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next segment. Bye.